All right, students, this is chapter 13 that we're starting here. And hopefully everyone can see this slide. Career Development Interventions in Higher Education. All right, and here's some learning outcomes, understanding the changing landscape of higher education, the evolution of career development in higher education, career development in adulthood, and then identifying model services and standards, and knowing how to manage career services in higher education. I did see that there were statistics in the chapter that were really old, already like 6 years old. And so I wanted to look at some tables that are a little more current. This is a 3-year-old table from 2022 in CES. And so I added it in here. I want you to look at the growing number of women getting degrees. Here they are, if you can see my mouse, going from 2000, all right, all the way up to current. And we're looking here at 2020 and 2021. So you can see that women in general are gaining degrees. So 56% of doctoral professional degrees went to women by the end of 2021. There were only 45% of degree earners at the doctoral level and professional degree level back in 2000. Back in 2000 at the bachelor's degree level, they were 57%. It's not too much higher now, 58%. That number is probably more like 60 today. And then here's some significant gains. If we look at the master's level, going from 57, almost 58% up to almost 62%. So nearly a 4% gain there. So more about the changing landscape. 19% of students enrolled in bachelor's degrees at non-flagship colleges. And then 36% from flagship or very high-level research universities graduate in 4 years. 4 years. Only 19% at non-flagship colleges graduate in 4 years. Only 19%. Okay, 36% from flagships or high-level research universities like LSU. But look at this. Only 63% graduate within 6 years, so still not super high. But the percent right under it is what should really bother us. 83.4% believe they will graduate in 4 years. There are some degrees you simply can't get in 4 years, such as engineering, architecture. Some of those really do require you pretty much to have a internship. And because the coursework is so difficult, we don't want people taking 15, 18 hours every semester. There are some semesters where taking 12 is much better. So we see here a huge mismatch between expectations around college graduation time and the reality. All right, now I'm going to juxtapose that with college debt. The average student loan debt is $39,000, and outstanding private student loan debt totals $144.9 billion. All right, so we're looking at federal and private here. Average student borrows over $30,000 to pursue the bachelor's degree, and we know most people need a higher degree than that now. If you look at Louisiana down here, you're going to see the average student loan debt in Louisiana for 2024 was $34,821. And it takes borrowers close to 20 years to pay off their student loan debts. You can really see how difficult that is. Roughly half of entry-level job postings created will be hybrid. So half in person, half online. Engineering students are the highest paid of all majors, averaging $78,731 a year. Recent college graduates who participate, this is really critical, in experiential learning earn on average 59,000 compared to their peers without internships. What they're not saying there is which degrees are more likely to do that experiential learning. Think about that. As of the last fall, only half of first generation students in the class of 2025 had completed an internship. So the people who are completing internships are the ones who are getting more highly paid jobs. But you can see that not many are getting those internships. About 12% of students have not participated in an internship and do not expect to do so before finishing a degree. And lower than the average of 35% of workers who enter the workforce without an internship or other relevant experience. All right. Career development interventions in higher ed have evolved over time. So we used to see the professor doing a lot of these career development interventions and academic advisement. It was like that when I was an undergrad. You met with a faculty advisor. That's kind of been sourced out to higher education professionals. Job placement. Some programs still have job placement, some do not. Employment agencies. Some universities work with employment agencies. Some have placement offices. We have an office. It's our Lind Career Center, and they help people find work. And then every career center is somewhat diverse in what they offer. Ours offers career coaching, and it has to be called coaching, not counseling, because they hire more higher ed professionals than counselors. Counselors are more expensive, so they tend to hire more people with a higher ed degree. Professional headshots. They'll do professional headshots for students. They have recruiting events, resume support, financial literacy, assessments, all kinds of stuff. However, those recruiting events tend to be in high need areas, such as engineering, computer sciences, these types of fields. We do have one event, usually per semester, in education. But again, that's more focused toward high need areas. So more like teachers, principals. 5 major approaches for delivering career service. One is to have a macro center on campus that everybody uses. And so that's what we have is our Lind Career Center. That's a macro center. Some have more of a counseling center approach. Ours does not. Ours is a very open, very broad range of services, although we do have career coaching. General services. So ours is a macro center with general services. Career planning and placement. They may focus solely on placement and planning for students. And then some just give very minimal service. Why do college students seek career assistance? Some want to learn more about themselves. Some are trying to identify a career goal or refine it. Some need to become more certain of their career plans. Some students just aren't doing well, maybe in their coursework and need to change majors. Maybe they were pre-med and they're kind of at that 2.8 GPA and realize they're not going to make it to med school. So they got to do something different. So educational planning, and then learning job skills. Some of those job skills, just if you aren't sure what that means, as things like writing a resume, writing a cover letter, looking for employment, knowing where to look. Some career development competencies for adults include personal social development. So some of those social skills, workplace employability, educational achievement and lifelong learning. So what types of skilling do you still need beyond your degree in order to be hireable? And then career management. What are your goals and what are you doing to work toward those goals? Right? So here's the personal social, developing an understanding of self, maintaining a positive self-concept. Maybe that work-life balance, leisure, community learner, family, work roles. Thinking about all that. That should remind you of Donald Super. and integrating growth and change into the career development. Educational achievement, students need to know if they're going to need additional education or training beyond their degree. So they may start signing up for workshops or certifications. Career management could mean a lot of different things, but a process of decision making. So not just what degree am I getting today, but how am I going to make decisions like, should I move? Is it more likely that I'm going to get a career that I like in a different area of the country? Um, how do I find accurate, current, and unbiased career information? Uh, and so they want to kind of get a bigger scope review. How is this career growing in this area? How much money might I make if I'm located here versus somewhere else? And so those are all things career counselors can help with. Counselors help students to learn to identify and transfer career interest into a plan of action. So we want something actionable, just like in clinical mental health counseling. We want to relate interests and goals to opportunities, right? So what are you interested in? What goals do you have? And then what opportunities do you need to take to make that happen? Relate career plans to life goals in the bigger picture of your life. How does your career plan fit? And learn how to evaluate their progress toward career goals. Kreitz had a model, we'll see what you all think of this, but to explore a variety of options, crystallize, there's that word Don Super came up with, crystallize a narrow range of specific options, make a commitment to a choice, and specify college major. Now, remember, Kreitz is living at a different time than we are today, and I'm wondering what you think of this. We're asking students to actually choose a pathway as early as ninth grade. So Kreitz asking people to do this in college feels a little 1970s/80s. All right. Courses, workshops, seminars, these are all things that career centers do. Things like mock interviewing, financial literacy, how to write a resume well, what types of skilling to do, group counseling. So for people who have career indecision or indecisiveness, um, job search anxiety, those are all things that they can do. Individual career counseling and placement programming. Other types of services may include infusing academic subject matter. So they may actually have groups where they're looking at specific types of careers and including that subject matter in it. Providing coursework on career development for those 1,000 level courses where students are learning about themselves in college. Using external resources to provide career related information, job shadowing, co-ops, things like that. And then integrating placement and transfer processes and supportive career planning. Sometimes you're going to see that work study or cooperative education, decentralized counseling. Sorry about that. Ooh, okay. Decentralized counseling. Now, we kind of have a model of this even with our Olin Career Center. So we have this big macro center, but they place a counselor that is specified for each different college. And so we have somebody assigned to the College of Human Sciences and Education, someone's assigned to engineering, and they oversee events and activities specific to their college. They can also provide seminars and res halls at the student union and specific services on the internet. Some goals of career intervention are to provide assistance in selection of major. We do that. The Olin Career Center does that work. Provide self-assessment, help people make sense of the findings, assist students to understand the world of work, assist students to learn decision-making skills, provide assistance with unique needs of subpopulations, and provide assistance with access to jobs. So those jobs that are in high demand, having all kinds of Work-related opportunities for students. You probably have heard of Handshake. That is one thing that OLEND uses to connect students with work. Centralized is where you have like one big facility, and it can be more economic. And depending on the population, you may end up serving the people who just come to your facilities rather than reaching out to more of the population. So in some ways, this is not a good model. It can be viewed as less personal, and it may be located further away from places where students spend most of their time. Our Olin Center is at the Student Union, so that's a pretty good location. But again, we do have those career counselors located within colleges. 10 imperatives for career services. Acknowledge lifelong nature of career development. Accept and embrace technology as an ally. Continue to refine and strengthen professional identity. Acknowledge and accept that individual career counseling is at the core of our work. Forge relationships with other professionals. Redouble efforts to meet needs of an increasingly diverse student body. Maintain focus on quality career services. Acknowledge that on-campus recruiting is a thing of the past, except depending on which field you're in, we do have recruiters come every year, multiple times to LSU. Sometimes they want to meet the students and see how they interact with others. Resolve the nature of the university's role with alumni, and advocate effectively for resources to maintain and increase services and use existing resources efficiently. Okay, that's it for Chapter 13. I'll be back for Chapter 14.